Hannah Gatsby.
Oh!
Bloomin' Onion. This is everything we know about Australia. The Bloomin' Onion seems like too festive a food for Hannah to enjoy. Can you imagine? We live in a culture.
Oh, no!
And men need to be held accountable. But you know where there are no rules? At the Outback Steakhouse. I'm at a Gatsby for the Outback Steakhouse. I'll never get over what men have done to me. But you know what's never overdone? The steaks at Outback Steakhouse. This is Hannah Gatsby for Outback Steakhouse. When you're here, you're queer. Outback. So there's a beautiful reporter named Sue. Mm-hmm. I think she's dating her editor. She's in Australia just to write about it because America was fascinated. And she's like, before I leave, I heard the legend of a man. He was fishing. He was attacked by a crocodile and it bit his leg off. And he crawled through the bush to safety. And he survived because he like wrestled the alligator. So then, but then they're like, but no one's tracked down this guy. He's kind of the original Haktua. It's like, we need to find, no one can, where's the crocodile, where's the no-leg crocodile guy? Then she goes to the bush.
Oh, God.
And then there's this old guy named Walter. He brings her to Walkabout Creek, which is literally a bar and a hotel and like 10 people, and they're just in the middle of nowhere. But you know, it's all, these Australians are surly. And there's this one guy named Donk.
Donk?
And they're like, oh, this is what Donk's never spilled a beer because he puts the beer on his head, and then guys punch him in the stomach. This is how they have fun in Australia. And he's like, Donk never spills his beer, baby. And then Crocodile Dundee comes in wrestling an alligator. But then he's like, oh, I'm just kidding. It's a stuffed alligator. And then they meet. She's charmed. But she notices he has two legs. And then he says, oh, yeah, that story? Oh, it was just a bite. And he does have like a gnarly scar, but he has a leg. So it was all exaggerated. And then the guy puts the beer back on his head. And he's like, I bet nobody can get this beer off my head. And then Crocodile Dundee kisses him.
What?
And then the beer falls off. He's like, I'll kill you. How dare you give me these feelings? I'm so confused. And they go to the bush. And I guess the idea is he's going to retrace what happened with his famous crocodile attack. I think she wakes up in the middle of the night. They're like camping. And she sees like a dead kangaroo. And he's already out there, and Dundee's like, yeah, the drunk city boys come out and they shoot the kangaroos for fun. She's like, are you gonna do something? He's like, okay. And he gets behind the dead kangaroo and holds a gun. So then the drunk guys are like, the kangaroos are shooting. It looks like these drunk guys are like, the kangaroo's got a gun. So those guys left thinking that the kangaroos are now armed and fighting back. So then the next morning, he's like, women can't go on walkabout. Women can't walk around. It's too dangerous. And so she's like, yeah, well, I'll prove to you I can walk around just like you in this horrible, dangerous area. And then she's like, I'll meet you. Where are we going? We're meeting at the thing. I'll go by myself. I'll meet you there. So then his plan is he's like, okay, well, I'm going to let her think that's what she's doing, but I'm going to follow her to make sure she doesn't get into trouble. I will be her protector and her guardian angel. And also, I'm going to do a little peeping.
What?
Because at one point, she thinks she's alone, and she, like, takes her shorts off or whatever she's wearing, so it's just sort of like a swimsuit. Great ass! Luckily, he was looking at her butt. See, this brings up a good point that peeping Toms can, stop crimes.
Yeah.
You could have pervert community watch. This is a great system. He's like, I'm going to leer at you through the bushes, but then if a crocodile jumps out, I'll stab it in the head with a knife, which is what happens.
Okay. What?
A crocodile comes out and like grabs the canteen around her neck, gonna kill her, and he jumps out. Well, first he has to like hit his boner down. That's the one flaw in this plan.
Oh, that he's hard?
Is that you can't jump into action if you're masturbating. So he stabs it in the head, and then she's like, oh, you're my hero, Crocodile Dundee. The crocodile probably just came out of the water to get her attention, to be like, hey, there's a weird guy staring at you. The crocodile was trying to warn her about the pervert. Yeah. He's like, hey, there's a guy looking at your ass in the bushes. Heads up. And then she's like, you know what, Mick? She says, you should come back to New York. She's going to bring him back to New York. This is the crux of the movie, is fish out of water. New York City, Twin Towers, taxi cabs. Yeah. And immediately they're at the airport, and he's like, an escalator? Crikey! I guess they put him in the Plaza Hotel.
Oh, hello.
Very nice. His driver is...
Hello?
The chauffeur is Carl Winslow.
Hey.
And he gets out of the car, and he's like, thanks for the ride. And then he goes, what tribe are you from?
Oh, no! Oh, no!
And he goes, excuse me?
Carl!
He's like, motherfucker, you're stranger than my daughter's scientist friend, Stephen Urkel. And he goes, well, you're a black fella.
He says that?
Yeah. He's like, excuse me? He's like, I shot a child. I will shoot you in the face. Carl Winslow is like, he's taken aback. He's taken aback. Carl, but I think he smiles. He's like, City? Oh, racism. I think we're gonna be friends. Because of course they become friends. Oh. He's like, there's 2 toilets in here because he doesn't know what a bidet is.
Oh.
And she's like, I'll let you figure it out. And then she's getting back in Carl Winslow's limousine, and he pops his head out the window up top, and he's like, I figured it out. It's to wash your asshole, or whatever he says. So he's getting drunk at the bar, and first a black guy comes in. He gives him the black guy handshake, and he's like, what's happening, man? And he's like, what's happening? Where? Your slang is confusing to me. And then he's like, you're all right, man. He's drinking, he's having fun. It seems like Crocodile is maybe going to leave with somebody. Oh. And then the cabbie, he's like, hey, get over here. He guides him over. And he goes, hey, I meant to tell you, man. That girl is a dude.
Oh, boy.
That's a guy. He's like, what? He's like, no, I can't be. I've never heard of such a thing. He's like, I just figured out bidets, for God's sakes. We're hitting this guy with escalators. Bidets. Handshakes. He's like, what? And then he goes, no way. And then he just walks over to the person, grabs their crotch.
Oh, shit.
Grabs the stuff.
Fuck.
Just really grabs it.
Dude.
And he's like, crikey. That Sheila had didgeridoos. Wait, I don't know. So then he goes to a fancy art opening with the rich New York elite. Oh. And then the reporter says, I want you to meet somebody. I think maybe she's the artist. And he's like, he said, and then this is an older woman who maybe is a bit masculine. And he goes, oh, hey. And then he grabs her pussy.
Shit, dude.
Her pussy. And she goes, oh. And then she goes, he's from Australia. Oh. And she's like, and then later he's like, I just had to check. He's paranoid now. He's like, so now he's checking everybody? He's like, he's from Australia. And then the woman goes, well, I'm going to have to go there.
What?
But then she says it with a man's voice.
Oh.
But he just confirmed pussy.
Oh.
It's confusing a little bit.
Is that just what women sound like after you grab their pussy? Their voice goes down an octave?
Because it's like if you kick a man in the nuts, his voice gets high. And if you grab a woman's pussy, she's like, well, sweet Jesus. I think that's what happened. And then because it's the 80s, there's a scene where he goes in the kitchen and the guy's doing coke.
Oh, nice.
He thinks he's trying to clear his sinuses, so he boils it for him or something.
He makes crack?
I think we're witnessing the invention of crack. He's like, you're going to want to boil this, and then you're going to want to sell it to kids. You're going to love it. Did he start the crack epidemic? But then her boyfriend proposes to her at the fancy dinner. And then I guess she says yes. And then our hero leaves despondent. So then I guess he's like, well, she's getting married to the other guy. So then he leaves the plaza and he tells the doorman, I'm going on walkabout. He's just going to wander America, I guess.
Okay.
So he goes to the Columbus Circle train station.
Oh. And
then she comes up in her limo with her dad. And I guess she's decided she wants to be with Dundee. She goes to the doorman and she's like, where'd Dundee go? And he said, oh, he went to the train station. She takes her shoes off. She's right there by the park. We have the romantic comedy run. She starts doing a Woody Allen. She starts running. So then she goes down to where the train is, right? And he gets to her and they hug. And I think he gets one more black handshake in there. Someone's like, man, we did it. And that's the story of Crocodile Dundee.
So she's writing this story, but I guess is him going to New York going to be part of the story?
Yeah, I think she said it'll be the ending to the story.
Okay.
It's so funny. She's going to go back to the newspaper and go, I got this scoop on the man that was attacked by a crocodile. And they're like, and you have nothing on the machine gun kangaroos? There's an armed rebellion of fucking kangaroos? And you're not covering it? That's what we're talking about back in NYC, baby. The past was doing its best.
That's the theme song.
Leave them alone. Leave them alone. Leave them alone. They were doing their best.